at this stage, once I've resized everything how I like it, that's when I work out which pieces I'm going to be printing and cutting and how I want to set them up. So let's move all the bits that we don't need. I don't need that one. I've saved all my pieces in case I have a mishap. Looking at this, if I'm going to make this, if I was going through to the Cameo today, I've got two options. I can print my card front with Merry Christmas in, like that, so that's fine. I don't need to move that. My circle is also going to be cut out of white cardstock, but I may consider actually printing the beak and the legs in place so that I just stick the robin's body. And if that's the case, I need to ungroup my robin and leave behind the beak and the legs on this circle so that they print together. So an easy way to start separating things so that you don't move their relationship to each other. I know the card base and the lettering for Merry Christmas are going to stay together. So I'm going to group them and then I can move them out of the way and know that that's done and sorted. Now let's zoom in. My circle and everything is still in its relative positions, and I know I want to leave the beak and the legs. So I need to ungroup my bird. And I know also, as I'm not cutting his legs, that I want to turn off the line so that they don't cut. And I also want to turn off the line on the beak because I don't want that to cut. So I'm going to now select the circle, the legs, and then click the beak and group those together. And yes, everything sort of jumps, but don't worry. And that's my second piece for print and cut. Now I have to work on the rest of the bird. Well, the wing is easy. I'm going to do that in a separate piece so the wing can move. I don't like doing things more than once if I don't have to. So if I was happy with this, I would duplicate it. And I've got two options now. I can keep it together for print and cut, or I can separate the red piece off and give it its red line to cut separately if I wanted to do coloured cardstock. And of course it doesn't matter that it's red if I was going to do this with coloured cardstock because it's only going to register the shape. It doesn't really matter about the colour. But if you were just using a piece of red card, you could turn off the colour and put on the red line and you just have the shape. So we'll leave it red so that we know that that's what it is if it's a separate piece. And of course it's the same with the body. You make sure you've got your cut line on, which is red, and you could take out the fill, and you know that that's going to cut out of your brown piece. However, for print and cut, I'm going to leave them on together, and I'm going to leave the line for the eye as well. So I can group those together and move them over here for print and cut. It's the same thing with the leaves. We know that they're going to be print and cut as they are, that's fine, except if you remember I've put this black line around them. That means they haven't got a cut line at all. So they're going to need one. What's the best way to do that and get a good cut? Well, let's zoom in. I would duplicate, change the line to red, ungroup and take this red line off. Turn down the thickness because we don't want it printing, and now I've got my exact line and it'll be the same shape as this. You may wonder why I didn't just use offset or something like that. Let me show you. If I double click that, you can see I've got very few points. One thing that I see quite a lot is people say that when they're printing and cutting, especially some fonts and complicated shapes, the Cameo makes a lot of juddering noises and it seems to be taking forever, chuk 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 chuk, that sort of thing. And it's because it's reading all these points, and if you've got lots and lots of them, then it's jumping to each one instead of having a smooth ride. And it's one of the reasons that I spend a lot of time editing my shapes with points so that I minimize how many there are. Let's do an offset of this. If I do offset selected shape, we need to just take the line down. Let's put it back to the normal red. And now, of course, it's done it with the line in the middle, which is not really what we want. But there we go. Let's just leave it at that and click apply. And then let me move it so we can see it. Okay. So that's done with offset. And if I double click this now, you see how many points extra I've got. I've got loads of them, especially, can you see, around here. And that means when it's cutting, it'll be chug, 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 all the way around there. And it doesn't need to, because it just needs to have those points that I showed you on this one. One there and a smooth curve to there. Now, I can simplify this, and it does simplify it, but it also changes the shape, so it won't any be like this, nice and smooth. And I've still got loads and loads of points here. And if we really zoom in so that you can see them, can you see? Look, there must be about 30 there. And if we start by clicking there and delete, let's go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. Well, there wasn't 30, but there was about 16, 17, and we only need one. And that's why your Cameo sometimes goes really slow. Hand-drawn fonts are the worst, I think, for this, because they have so many points to get the smooth sort of look. But when it comes to cutting and tracing, the reason that they get all juddery is because it's reading all of these points. So we're going to use this one. I reckon that will work just as well. So what I need to do is take the fill off that, and that's my shape, and I can put these back together and use the align tools, center. And if I don't want to do the same over there, I can just do what we did before. Group, object, replicate, mirror left, and move that one. And now I know I've got my cut lines on my holly leaves. If I go to my send window, I can see them. Now it is still showing the red one up the middle, which of course we don't want to cut. So when it comes to print and cut time, I would go into here and change the order. So red will cut, black won't cut, and I'll just untick it. So only only the red will cut, and so my black line there is perfectly safe. Right, let's go back. So I know those two are all right for print and cut. So then it's the berries. Whether we're going to print and cut them and mess around with them being that small or not, I don't know. But in case you are, it's the same thing as we did with the holly leaves. I'm going to make an extra one. I'm going to take the line style down to 0, change the colour to red and take out the fill. So I know now that that circle is perfectly sized for that, and then I can centre those two together, group them and simply make 3 of them and get rid of these 2. And because I know in my send window I can make sure that my black lines don't cut, I know that that's going to be fine. Let's close our windows for the moment and zoom out. I've got all my card pieces now sorted out, so I can set up my registration marks and arrange everything for print and cut. So let's move that down to there. Here's my bird. Here's the wing. I don't need that piece because that's if I was just doing cardstock. So is that. So I'll move that over there. And then I've got the leaves. Now, because I'm a bit tight when it comes to cardstock, I'd probably see how many I could get out of one piece. So let's move that there. As long as it's within the red border, we'll be all right. Wing there. Holly leaves there. Oh, the berries. Let's put those as a group and they can go there. I'll group them together and then I can move them if I want. So we could have another card at the bottom. Here we go. So I get 2 card bases. We want 2 circles. Oh, that just fits, look. Now I have made my registration marks small, 0.394, and my paper size is A4, so it's a little bit bigger than letter size, but ultimately just move everything around until you get as much out of your card as you possibly can. So I've got this set up now for being able to do 2 cards with 1 piece of A4. I will have a go at this as soon as my husband sets up my computer to operate the Cameo. I may change the colours a little bit because I picked these without testing it and I might want to make them a little bit more vibrant. But ultimately, what we see here should be what we get. Fingers crossed. That's all for this video. It's nice to be back, although I am very rusty and I've probably rambled more than I would like to. I hope you'll forgive me and still keep watching. I will be back with some more tutorials very soon, and I hope to see you then.